and it is 6:03 p.m. on September 22nd. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting board to order. Thank you. Sorry. Please give your attention to the short video about the COVID aspects of our meeting.
As a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should remute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time.
I can't hear
Citizens will have 3
anything
minutes
for
to
some
speak.
reason.
A 30-second warning will
And-
be provided. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the COVID-19 Special Notice for Public Comment Guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
All right, and I just want to acknowledge that I did hear Ms. Bristow, Patty. And of course, if she's saying that she can't hear audio, she can't hear what I'm saying now either. We may need to try and give her a call on that number off to the side. But why don't we call roll Terry Ann and see if she is hearing us at the moment. And if not, we'll have to work out that technical difficulty before we move forward.
Okay. Member Ash?
Present.
Thank you. Member Bankert?
Present.
Member Bristow? I will come back to her. Member Holly? Let me let some individuals here. We have a member coming in. Okay. Member Holly's absent. Member Hammond?
Present.
Member Hurley?
Present.
Member Leahy? Absent. Member Linder just came in. Member Linder, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank you. Okay. Member Mahmood? Okay, absent. Member Powells?
Here.
Member Vega? Is absent. Member Yao?
Here.
Vice Chair Rosenberg?
Here.
Chair Miller?
Present.
So thank you. We have a quorum and we've got members Hallie, Carr, Leahy, Mahmood, Moriarty, and Vega absent. And then also I need to see if member Bristow is able to hear us as well.
Right. Very good. And I just clicked on ask to unmute for her just to see if there's a chance that would bring up a helpful prompt for her.
I'm going to go ahead and note her as present. Hopefully she's able to vote on the action item.
Right. Okay, very good. And we can proceed. Next item on the agenda is public comment, and this is time reserved for short comments from the public, which are not related to any agenda item that is on the agenda items this evening. Is there any member of the public who has a public comment that they would like to make? If so, you can raise your hand here in Zoom, or if you're on the phone, I think you can press *9 or something to indicate interest.
*9.
*9. Very good. Thank you for confirming that.
You're welcome. I don't see any hands raised, and I did not receive any public comment.
That was my
writing.
next question. Yeah, thank you very much, Terry Ann. All right, well, moving right along, then I will close public comment. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent calendar, which is just the summary of actions or minutes, if you will, from the July 28th, 2021 meeting, and acknowledgement of the member attendance log. So basically, for those of you that have reviewed the minutes from the last meeting, or I guess I'll call them by the summary of actions from the last meeting, does anyone have any corrections or comments about those minutes?
So moved.
Oh, not yet. So you'd like, is that a move to accept the minutes as they were in the packet?
Yeah.
Okay, moved by, I didn't see who made
Barrett.
that.
Member Ash.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay, moved by Ash and seconded by Mr. Bankert. Let's go ahead and have a roll call for approval.
Member Ash.
Aye.
Member Bankert.
Yes.
Member Bristow. Can you unmute? I saw you came in again. Let's see. Ash.
Yeah. Yes.
There we go. Okay,
Ah,
great. Thank
yes.
you.
Good job. Good job, Member Bristow.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Member Carr is absent. Member Holly is absent. Member Hammond.
Aye.
Member Hurley.
Abstain.
Okay. Member Leahy. Still absent. Member Linder.
Aye.
Okay. Member Moriarty is absent. Member Mahmood is still absent. Member Powell's.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Vega is still absent. Okay. Member Yao.
Approved.
Vice Chair Rosenberg.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Miller. I'm sorry,
Aye.
Chair Miller.
That's fine. I'm
All
just
right.
a member.
So motion passes unanimously with members absent are Carr, Hallie, Hammond. No, not Hammond. Did we get Hammond?
We got Hammond.
Yes, we got Hammond. Sorry. Put you on there twice. Leahy, Moriarty, Mahmood, Vega, and an abstain from Hurley.
Excellent. I appreciate everyone suffering through the machinations that we have to go through here. All right, and then Terry Ann, just to ask, there were probably no public comments submitted regarding this, the consent calendar, correct?
No public comments. And do we have anyone on this with us tonight that would like to raise their hand and speak? I don't see any hands raised either. Thank you.
Very good. I'm just going to ask this very quickly. If one of the pieces of the consent calendar is not just the minutes, but if anyone has noted that their attendance was not correct on the log, on the attendance log, speak now or forever hold your peace. Let us know.
Really exciting if I hadn't seen that metal.
All right, and we don't have to vote on that. That was just an opportunity to make a note if that's the case. I appreciate everyone bearing through so we can get on to the real meat of the meeting. So we'll move on to regular agenda items. Next item on the agenda is the review of the City of Pleasant Hills calendar years 2018 and 2019 Growth Management Program Compliance Checklist. Matt would be so kind as to introduce what members are attending from Pleasant Hill this evening.
Thank you, Chair. I'd be glad to. Tonight, for the calendar year 2018-2019 City of Pleasant Hill checklist, we have, looks like we have 3 folks from Pleasant Hill tonight. We've got Anathan Kanagasundaram. I know I butchered your last name.
No, very good.
I tried. I'll note that Anathan is taking over from our a previous staff member who did the last several checklists. So it's new blood. So please go easy on him this time.
Welcome,
And
Anathan.
we've also got Troy Fujimoto from the planning department at the city, and Ethan Bindernagel is a new employee with the city. I think Ethan is the community development director, assistant city manager, something along those lines. So welcome to all 3, and I'll turn it over to Anathan.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members. I'm the new guy on the block. I'm the new acting city engineer for Pleasant Hill. As Matt said, I'm the new guy, so go easy on me. I'll do my best to get the message across, and at the end, I'll be happy to take any questions. And I came prepared. I did bring Troy Fujimoto, the city planner, and Ethan Bindernagel. He's the new community development director / assistant city manager. So somewhat I am confident that those 2 will help me out if I needed anything. But so meantime, let me see if I can share my screen and start the presentation. I'm assuming that you can all see the screen now.
Yes, we can. Yeah, I think you're ready to hit F5 or whatever. And
Yeah,
can-
I am hitting it, but
might have to do the swap screen. I can never remember how to do that.
Or do it through slideshow.
yeah,
yeah,
like I'm
slideshow.
just hitting it right now, but
Honestly, we can see your screen on.
you can see fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, let me
it's
go
fine.
start with it. Okay,
No need to
so
stress.
I am pleased to announce, I'm going through this, checklist and go through, what we've been working in Pleasant Hill, what we have accomplished so far, and what's in works, just to give you a quick overview. And if you have any questions, you'll be more than happy to answer. So starting with, I'm sorry, I can't even. So I'm going to stop share for a second. I'm going to restart again and see if it would let me go back.
Okay.
Sure.
It's actually not allowing me to.
Just does not want to be kind to you when you're.
No, Racy, it's
I saw an interesting. Do you see that pop up? Slideshow, resume slideshow. Oh, and it won't let you click.
it
on
won't let me. Matt, is the trick to it?
Sometimes if you put it into slideshow mode before you share screen.
Okay.
Maybe unshare and yeah.
Got it. Let me go back.
I do not envy those of you.
I
having to do these
know. I
presentations
have never
because-
had any problem up until today.
Don't worry.
Um,
You're not the first and won't be the last. So
Matt, do we have the presentation? We could run it for him.
Yeah, if you want to send it to me, Jonathan, I can.
oh, that's a thought.
give me 1 second, Matt. I just sent the presentation over to you, Matt.
And then grab a.
See how fast my email is.
So then you have to fill it out completely, but
That sounds like a good option, just to remove complications.
Yeah, I'm operating the slideshow for the second presentation tonight, so I might as well do this one.
I can help Matt too if needed.
Yeah, I haven't received it yet.
Thank you, Terry Ann.
My email's been a little slow this afternoon, so hopefully yours isn't.
Oh, you like Brussels sprouts? Yeah. Like, that's okay. No more.
Still nothing. Let's see. Still not getting anything. Let's see.
Okay. Jonathan, while we're waiting for that, if you want to try putting it in slideshow mode and then sharing screen, just to see if that also works.
I did. I actually
you did.
restarted again, and I'm actually going to send it to Troy, our planner, to see if he can share it.
Oh, perfect.
So trying every options. My apologies.
He'll be local on site, so that it could
Yeah.
be a win. It could be a
It's a
workout.
size issue that'll hopefully work.
Because I ran it and somehow it's not letting me even click any button once I start going to share.
Oh, I just got it.
Oh, sounds like Matt got it. It's not too late to quit and have the Discord watch party instead. Oh, I think we have to record
Yes.
these. Never mind.
Okay, let me get into sharing mode, and I think unless I have the same problem.
Take one bite of meat. Take a chop, a baby bite. A baby bite. Your meat is not.
Give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. Are we there? Or do I need to swap screens?
Swap screen.
Well,
Okay.
screen, but we're getting there.
And you're good to
Yeah.
go.
Did that do it?
It's
Yep. You can
still-
do it, Matt. So we don't need to test anything else.
Yeah, it's still in the process of swapping for me, though. I haven't seen it actually swap the screen yet.
It is good on your end or no?
No, it's on the presenter's view.
Yeah, interesting.
Instead of slideshow, it's just sitting there stuck.
It's like it stopped sending in the middle.
And it says my screen sharing is paused. What is happening here?
This is one of those things where maybe if you stop sharing the screen, maybe the swap will go through and then reshare, or vice versa. And might have to.
Try one more time, folks.
Sorry for the delay.
Yeah, sorry.
It happens.
It is a thing. Anything?
That's a big fat
Very
win.
Perfect.
There you go.
You got it. Winner, winner.
Job.
Okay. All right. Here we go again. So take two. Good evening, Chair and members. I'm so happy to be here to go through the checklist and kind of give you an overall on where we are in Pleasant Hill. So Next slide. Should I can go or you had to do it, Kelly? Matt. Okay, on the development and building permit, in 2018, we have issued about 48 building permits. And out of those, we had 10 moderate income and 38 above moderate income housing was issued. In 2019, we had about 32 building permit, and out of those, 14 moderate income and 18 above moderate income was part of the building permit. So next slide. Moving on to development. We had a Grayson Place subdivision, which included 44 detached 3-story single-family home at Buskirk and Mayhew, and it included about 15 ADU. That project also included a lot of public improvements, like providing new sidewalk along the frontage and providing a new traffic signal at Buskirk and Mayhew, which was much needed improvement, and this project was able to help us install that. And now the construction is complete and it's fully occupied right now. Next one. Then the next one is a Release Terrace subdivision. It's located at Boyd and Pleasant Hill Road. Included a 17 single-family home with 5 ADUs. It included a lot of public improvements, such as all the frontage sidewalk, not only along their frontage, also on the opposite side, and also included a lot of median and landscaping work to work as a calming device throughout Pleasant Hill Road, and also major underground utility along Pleasant Hill Road to get all the PG&E and other power lines overhead into underground. Also, this subdivision served by private street to serve the residents, and it will be maintained by HOA. And it's currently under construction, and there are a few homes has been occupied so far. Next one. This is another Tanager Heights subdivision. It's a 18 single-story, 2-story, single-family homes with the 4 ADU. This is located at Taylor Boulevard and Mercury. Included a lot of public improvement, as providing a continuous ped bike trail along Taylor Boulevard, as well as undergrounding and a lot of major retention basin, not only for the clean water program, also to help with our flooding in Pleasant Hill, and also provided a lot of amenities for the residents who lives there, such as private public trail and some landscape and enhancement. The project is now complete and it's fully occupied. Next one. Cambria Hotel. It's a famous hotel project. It's on North Main Street. Some of you may know it used to occupy by Black Anchor site. We approved this 155-room hotel. Included a lot of the public improvements, such as frontage improvement, median enhancement, and also undergrounding overhead power lines. The project has not started, but we are in the process of talking to the developer, and the next phase will be the improvement plan check, and they will commence very shortly after. Next one. Moving on to CIP, the transportation side, we had a major resurfacing project in 2019. We included 19 residential street and 1 major collector, Paso Nogal Road. So this had 2 phases. First phase, we went ahead and repaired all the potholes and installed ADA curb ramps, curb and gutter repairs. And the phase 2 went on to do the final pavement resurfacing and complete the project. The next one. Another project is a Pleasant Hill Road Improvement Project. This is a half-a-mile section on Pleasant Hill Road between Gregory Lane and Taylor Boulevard. This purpose was to provide a complete street elements, such as ped and bike friendly design, and also street improvements, also GI, as part of the C3 requirement. So we included a lot of the green infrastructure element into this project. now it's complete and has been accepted, and it's actually receiving a lot of compliments. The next one. The famous pothole projects, most of the funding that we receive, we do use quite a bit on this pothole repair. And in 2019, we approximately done almost 24,000 square feet of pothole repair in Pleasant Hill. And we tend to do it every 2 years. So hopefully we will go with the next one pretty soon with the repair program. Next one. The Pet and Bike Master Plan. We've been working for a while, and we completed the draft back in September 2020. And as you know, Pleasant Hill is going through a general plan amendment, and part of the amendment, we are going to update the Pet and Bike Master Plan, even though it's near completion. But as we get more input from the GPAC committee and other community members, we will be able to enhance it and complete it in such a way that can, complement also, move forward with what the vision is for Pleasant Hill. Next slide. So this is just to give you an overall and where the budget is for the next 2 years and what we are working on. For the next 2 years, we have about $41 million budgeted for the CAP related project. The majority of it is went to the library project. As you can see, Pleasant Hill Library is under construction, moving along quite well. And we have also started the design on Contra Costa Boulevard. And we have nearly completed all the roadway improvement in Oak Park and Monticello Roadway, which will be serving the library and the future sports field, as well as another residential development right in that area. We are also doing lot of traffic restriping maintenance work. There's going to be a resurfacing project coming up soon, and we are also doing some storm drain work. Of course, we always do pet and bike facility improvement along with some annual maintenance creek. So it's about a $41 million project in works. Some of them are in works right now. Some of them are ready to get started within the few next months. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the general plan and where we are. As you can tell on the facing diagram, we are more than halfway through the general plan process. It's moving along really well. We received a lot of good comments from our residents and also from the members. We are anticipating to complete this in 22-23, but so far it's been very positive process. I guess that's all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And if I can, I will definitely, have Troy and Ethan jump in and help me out. And once again, thank you so much for Matt for not only guiding me through the process, but also helping me tonight. So we'll be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
All right,
Sure.
thank you very much. Yes, recognize Mr. Rosenberg, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Ed. I have a question on your undergrounding of utilities. Do you have a city policy on who pays for the undergrounding with the new development?
Yes, we do. Our mini code requires a developer or the, are responsible to underground the frontage, and they will be paying for the full expense.
Do you have any money from PG&E that's accumulated?
We do. We have used some of the Rule 20A funds on other projects in the downtown area and, right by Buskirk and Monument in the past. But as we collect more funds and when we have a project ready, we will be using that funds.
Thank you. I have one other question, if I may, Chairman Ed. Over at the Cole Shopping Center and the Friedman's Appliances, that area up there.
Oops. I'm sorry, Larry, I muted you instead of myself. Please continue. You were talking about Cole.
You on mute.
You're still
Sorry.
muted. I'm sorry, Larry. I can mute you, but apparently I can't unmute you. I can only ask you to unmute.
How's that?
Better, and I apologize for interrupting your train of thought. So over by Cole.
Okay, we're talking about Kohl's, Friedman's Appliances, Dick's Sporting Goods. I read a while back that there was going to be some development in that area. Do you have any information on where that stands?
We do not, there is an empty parcel potential for some development, but we do not have any interest so far.
Okay. Thank you.
I noticed that there's quite a bit of, oh, actually, let me recognize Mr. Bankert first. I'd like to go last.
Yeah, I had a question for Anathan. First of all, Anathan, it's great to see you. Good job. I wanted to ask about the city's low-income housing plans. It wasn't brought up in discussion, and was curious whether or not there were any short-term and long-term plans. I know in looking at the general plan redesign, there's some things in there that addresses it, but maybe you could share with us what some of the goals are here.
I can definitely take a stab. I think probably Troy would be the best person to walk you through. So Troy.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm not sure, I guess I can speak generally about the city's affordable, what their plans are. We're supportive of affordable housing. We've given funds to, and actually recently to Habitat for Humanity and to another developer, Saha, to encourage them to build affordable housing throughout the city. We have an inclusionary ordinance that requires affordable housing for new residential development. So we do have a history of supporting affordable housing in the city. We have funds that we use, as I've mentioned, we've used for various projects where we can. But I think that's the extent of what our affordable housing program is. We don't have a robust program, as I'm sure every city no longer does, thanks to the abolishment of redevelopment agencies. But we certainly do what we can with the limited funds that we have available to us to provide that assistance. But we have been doing things recently.
Thanks, Troy.
Jonathan, if I could jump in and just add, apologies for the interruption, but I also wanted to add on and tag along for Troy and Jonathan on their behalf to say we're also in the process of updating our housing element as part of our general plan. So we are keenly observing and looking at housing in general for all income levels, but that'll be part of our ongoing housing element update. And we appreciate the feedback we've gotten to date from the public, and we're looking forward to moving ahead on revamping that and adopting a new element for the next cycle.
Wonderful. Thanks very much for that, Mr. Bidner-Nickel. And as many of us are also involved with the RENA process as well, and just starting to really get full on involved with that. By the way, I noticed in your presentation, Jonathan, there was quite a few of the developers that came in 2018 and 2019. Practically every project that you guys brought in, it looks like had ADUs as some component of their initial build, not add-ons coming later. I'm sure there were some permit applications by existing homeowners, but it's just striking to see so many units, so many ADU units coming in right at time of build. I don't think I've seen that. Really, I don't think I've seen that anywhere else in any other municipalities' presentations in the area. Is that something you guys are working or encouraging very directly with the developers, or is this something economically attractive to them?
It's definitely a proactive approach, thanks to the planning staff, who carries it out and encourage them, and also our commissioners and the council. They have shown interest, and developers had the message. So they came in with the proposal in place. But for the most part, majority of these projects actually added more as they went into construction. They came back and
Wow.
asked for additional, because I think probably they saw a high resale value, or maybe able to sell that house for a higher price. So
Mhm.
it kind of encouraged them to add more. So that's what we have experienced.
Yeah, there's an incentive for them. I just think with the geriatric population, I'm just the changing demographics of parents being cared for by their adult children, that is probably going to become an increasing piece of the pie. Also, I just was really impressed. There's quite a bit of ongoing maintenance activity. I'm sure a lot of that gets covered by Measure J kind of money, but the extent to which you guys are constantly looking for that stuff, I mean, it's always you surfacing, painting, doing drainage improvements. I'm improved. I mean, I'm impressed with the churn that you have on that. It's not just, yeah, we resurfaced some stuff. It seems like it's going a little bit beyond that. And I do see that as you do dive in and do a resurfacing or repainting in the area, you look at opportunities for some complete streets, which we love to see, because especially like the buffered bike lanes and stuff, or at least even clearer markings. It looks like you guys are taking every opportunity to do it right when you redo it.
We do. I mean, one of the development projects, we actually, write conditions for them to provide a bike lane when the right of way allows them. So we actually take advantage of every developer comes in, they contribute as a public benefit aspect of it. And we definitely encourage that, and we do it. And also we use the Measure J fund for a lot of the signal timing. We are going through a lot of changes. We continuously tweaking to comply with the new standards, the speed of,
for the the crosswalk, yeah, the
crosswalk,
timing, yeah.
speed, and, we are making a lot of changes as well.
Interesting. I have one more, and by the way, I appreciate that answer very much, that detailed answer. I have one more question. I saw on your sort of circular diagram that talked about where different portions of the money were going. One of them was talking about a project, Meridian Oak, over on Oak Park or something, Meridian project, or maybe I've got the words mixed up. I definitely thought I saw something in the Oak Park area. What's going on there?
Oak Park, Monticello, where you see the new library getting built. So we enhance that improvement, because it used to be a driveway that led to the middle school. But,
Right.
We put a complete street there with the landscaping and all the infrastructure in place, and providing a much wider sidewalk necessary for the kids to walk up and down safely. That is Monticello improvement. It's actually a joint adventure that we did with Contra Costa County, the school district, and Rec and Park. And it's been a phenomenal team effort to get that built.
Excellent. I guess I'll just ask one last question, and then I really do want to allow other members to ask questions. The one question I wanted to ask is, you mentioned signal timings, and of course I knew immediately that the crosswalks would be a piece of that. But are there? I mean, we're the CCTA, so we obviously love things moving faster. Is there any portion of that involved opportunities for optimization, or that you saw some increased throughput, or is it just moves to compliance?
Moves to compliance, and also we are trying to see, where we can enhance it and better. As you can see, recently, like, all the crosswalks, stuff that has happened, near schools have alerted all of us to be, much more, pay a little bit more attention to, crosswalk timing. Not only that, how to enhance it and how to make it, high visibility. So we are definitely working on it. So I'm currently underway of taking inventories of that. And also I will be putting out a project within the next 2 weeks to enhance all the crosswalks within Pleasant Hill.
Since they've increased the amount of time, have you, I know this is a very specific question, but has it caused you to consider an all-directional crosswalk situation in certain cases, since you're going to have a lot of dead time anyway?
True. Like right now, we are going through the process of updating the traffic signal. Given the update, we don't see immediate need for it, and also it may not warrant given the number of pet crossing at any intersection. But if it comes to a point that we have enough, pet crossing at certain intersections, we can definitely look at it to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I just, since you mentioned schools, I got to say that the first thing that pops into mind is it may be an opportunity not only for economy of time, but also safety at the schools, because a lot of kids, I don't know, I don't exactly adhere to the rules when they get the green walk light. There's some non-traditional attempts to skirt around that stuff, so it might be a safety thing too. Anyway, I apologize for taking time. I do want to offer, if there are any other questions by other committee members, I appreciate you answering mine, Anathan.
Sure.
All right, and I believe that Terry Ann, do we open this up also for public comment? Yeah, not necessarily to interrogate our speakers, but if the public wishes to make a comment on the program as has been presented so far, I would like to open public comment at this time, if anyone wants to indicate their interest in doing so.
I haven't received any written public comment, and I don't see any public in the meeting, so we have no hands raised at this time.
That makes it easy. All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's probably going to conclude. And so at this point, we move on to the portion where we make a motion whether to accept or reject this. Can I have a motion from one of our members as to whether they would like to accept this as presented?
I would move that we accept as presented.
Moved by Mr. Bankert.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Powles. Thank you very much, Brad. All right, so we've got a move in a second. I will step back and allow Terry Ann to take the vote.
Thank you. Member Ash?
Aye.
Member Bankert?
Yes.
Member Bristow?
Aye.
Member Hammond?
Aye.
Member Hurley?
Aye.
Member Linder?
Aye.
Member Powles?
Aye.
Member Yao?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rosenberg?
Aye.
Chair Miller?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously with the following members absent. We've got Carr, Hallie, Leahy, Moriarty, Mahmood, and Vega.
Thank you very much, Terry Ann. And this will allow you to advance to the next step, so you can begin seeking funding for the next 2-year cycle. Happy to. It seems like you're doing a great job, and I tell you what, it deserves mention. We wish you all very much luck working with your planning commissions and so forth through the RENA cycle, and it's no small feat to update a master plan either. So I wish you all luck in that process.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members, and also great to see you, Sir Bankert, on this side.
I love it, Sir Bankert.
Thank you, Chair Miller and members of the commission. Appreciate your support.
Very much appreciate you having you here this evening to answer our questions. Thank you. And Mr. Bankert, I got to say that you stepped in like you've been doing this for 20 years. You knew the convention to make the motion.
I have to say, I take a lot of pride in that presentation. I was a planning commissioner during 2018, 2019.
Excellent, excellent. So you had a hand in some of those permits. Wonderful. Thanks very much then for also lending your talents to our team as well. All right, let's see here. So we've gone through, if I haven't officially said it, I believe I said that I closed public comment on that. The next item on the agenda is a presentation for us on the Contra Costa Countywide Transportation Safety Policy and Implementation Guide as presented by Colin Clark. Matt, do you want to introduce Colin to us? Obviously, he's one of your cohorts.
Yeah, I might just let him introduce himself.
Oh, sure.
This is his first time in front of the CAC, but he brought this to the board last week, so he's a
glad to hear you're raring to go. I take it away, Mr. Clark.
Yes, good evening, Chair and committee members. Colin Clark, Associate Transportation Planner for CCTA Planning. Wanted to give an overview of the countywide transportation safety framework today, and Matt Kelly is going to run the slides. Thank you, Matt. So on September 15th, the board had adopted the resolution 21-40-G to adopt the guide with the really long title you just mentioned. Matt's bringing up the slides, and I'll give you an overview and look forward to questions and comments.
While Matt's bringing that up, I got to tell you, this is a timely subject. We've heard about 3 pedestrian accidents around schools in the recent news, so it will be very interesting to hear and see some of the county's planning.
Can you guys help me out and tell me what you can see?
We see the presenter's view at the moment on our screens. And now you've got it in the perfect mode right now for what?
Great. Pleasant Hill Prison blew apart my screens.
Actually, it's back to the, I believe, the presenter side. So try flipping it one more time. It's so slow when it flips. So weird. Yeah, we're stuck again, kind of like we were that one last time. May have to stop sharing and reshare. I don't know.
I'm trying here. That Pleasant Hill PowerPoint did a number on my computer.
Didn't even have any animations. What's going on?
Okay, give me just 1 second. Sorry, Colin.
No worries. Now the chair has me worried about the animations later in the slides presentation.
No, well, once I get it going, we'll be just fine.
We're easily entertained.
Okay, let's see here. I think I need to close the Pleasant Hill presentation because it's still tormenting my computer.
Really high density or definition photos or something.
And I can start if you want me to, Chair.
Sure, if you feel comfortable doing so. It's okay if you want to give Matt another 60 or something.
Sure.
That looks like that's the correct thing that we should be seeing. Yep.
Great.
Yeah, excellent. Proceed. Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Clark.
Thank you. So next slide, Matt, please. So 2140-G is the resolution that was adopted on September 15th. And the where that originated from was in 2018, CCTA board adopted the countywide bike and ped plan, one of which recommendations was a key recommendation to adopt a countywide Vision Zero consistent approach with a focus on people walking and biking as they are more vulnerable. And just a little bit more background here in terms of the recent history is MTC adopted Resolution 4400 over the last year or so, and there's a regional active transportation plan being updated right now, and the Complete Streets policy is part of that update through MTC and its checklist. And part of that will be integrating safety, transportation safety into that checklist review process that the CBPAC, Countywide Bike and Ped Advisory Committee, has a role in for CCTA. Next slide. So generally the goals in 2018 as adopted in the Bike Ped plan were to integrate a safe systems approach and collect and analyze collision data, which in this case was 2008 through 2017, a decade worth of data. And third, to develop a policy and implementation guide to help local agency staff implement Vision Zero moving forward. And so there's been a Vision Zero working group countywide. There's been presentations and input received from the Regional Transportation Planning Advisory Committee, each of the 4 subregions at different stages throughout the process to develop this overall guide. Next slide. So in general, nationally, there's an interested but concerned population of something like half that is an enormous potential for potential mode shift away from single occupancy vehicles in particular. Half of vehicle congestion is including trips that are under 3 miles each. So there's a lot of opportunity with the safety lens and Bike Ped. Next slide. Matt, I think you have to keep clicking a few times. Yeah. So the traditional approach to safety has been individual responsibility. With the safe systems approach, the idea is shared responsibility and collaborating across interdisciplinary fields to address each of the different issues as it relates to design, management, operations, construction, every piece of the puzzle. And next click. The main kind of one of the main core principles of the Vision Zero concept is that fatalities are preventable, and reducing severe injuries and fatalities is where the priority can be focused. Next slide. So through looking at the last decade or so of data, it was found that people walking and biking represent 20% of all collisions, meaning including drivers, but account for 38% of collisions with a fatality or severe injury. 2.5 times more likely to result in a fatality or severe injury than collisions involving vehicles, and something like an average of 8 collisions per week in Contra Costa over that time period. Next slide. So part of the process was working with our consultant, Fair and Peers, to develop the high injury network, the common corridors for countywide collisions per mode. And so this slide will show walking, in collisions that involve walking. 86% of fatal or severe injury collisions occurred on only 3% of roadway miles in Contra Costa. Next slide. And in terms of bicycling, 81% of fatal or severe injury collisions occurred on 3% of roadways. Next slide. So unfortunately, by definition, this is a public health crisis while we're in the midst of another public health crisis with COVID, of course, but it is preventable. But from 2019 to 2020, as part of the travel behavior patterns that shifted and changed during COVID and May post-COVID, the fewer vehicles on the roads enabled some to speed more frequently and at higher speeds because there was less congestion. And so even though vehicle miles traveled went down by 13% nationally from 2019 to 2020, the fatalities was the largest single annual increase in almost a century. Next slide. The common collision patterns that were found throughout Contra Costa, highway interchanges. So it's really important to coordinate with Caltrans, trail crossings. So we're coordinating with East Bay Regional Park District, channelized right turns, seniors, youth. As it relates to seniors, 25% of Californians are going to be age 60 or older by 2030, which is 11 million people. And so addressing the needs of our more vulnerable users is a priority of the Safe Systems and Vision Zero approach. Transit priority areas was another very common collision between 2008 and 2017. And so BART is another opportunity for partnering. Next slide. So this is meant to give you a general idea of what it looks like to the driver as a person walking or biking adjacent to the vehicle, what it may look like at different speeds. Next slide. This begins to quantify what it means in terms of being hit at a vehicle, by a vehicle at different speeds, and the significant difference between 20 and 30 miles per hour in terms of going from a 9 out of 10 survival likelihood to 5 out of 10. Next slide. And this is showing the general non-severe injuries at 20 miles per hour and below, and then increasing severity of injuries between 22 miles per hour and 34 miles per hour. And it's usually fatal if someone is hit at 36 miles per hour or more. And so the trend that may become a pattern nationally, as we're seeing in a lot of cities, is adopting universal citywide 20 mile per hour posted speed limits as opposed to 25 miles per hour with this information in mind, for example. Next slide. So one of the things that came out of the guide for Countywide Vision Zero to help local agency staff, and we worked with local agency staff to develop it and make sure that it was meeting their needs, is these safe system strategies and institutionalizing complete streets practices through a lot of existing design processes. Next slide. This is a general example of what would be presented in the toolbox from the guide for local agency staff. So this concept of daylighting is clearing the visible, the obstructions at intersections so that there's quite a bit more visibility for people driving and people of all modes, really, in terms of sight lines. Next slide. Shark's Teeth is another kind of low cost, quick build pavement marking idea. Next slide. Roundabouts have quite a few benefits that in a lot of cases outperform signalized intersections in terms of greenhouse gas emissions reduction, air quality improvement, cost of maintenance and operation as it relates to signal operations. And in terms of safety, it's huge in terms of the safe systems approach, because the idea is that the angle at which collisions happen is less severe. And so the collisions and the injuries that result are then more medically manageable. Next slide. So, the safety idea, according to the national experts, is, going beyond posted speed limits. Next slide. It's visual cues. It's street calming, traffic calming. It's the width of lanes, and so reducing lane width is another opportunity for local agencies. Next slide. And next slide. So in terms of next steps for local agencies, there's a Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, funding opportunity in the spring of the calendar year 2022. And that eligibility and competitive criteria in terms of competing for that funding is quite contingent on having a local road safety plan that's adopted by each local agency. And so there's a number of Contra Costa agencies that have sought funding from Caltrans, for example, at the state level, to begin developing a local road safety plan over the next many months to address safety citywide. Quick build projects using the toolbox are an important next step, in addition to potentially a countywide training and sharing best practices and ideas and lessons learned in terms of getting into the weeds of the details in terms of which protected bikeways on street, for example, which types have worked for fire departments and public works maintenance, in addition to all the other competing interests. Participate in training and marketing and outreach is another next step countywide, and local agencies also can adopt as part of the local road safety plan, they can adopt a Vision Zero action plan that's updated every couple of years. They can adopt a policy ordinance with a number of different innovative ways of addressing safety that's been done in quite a few places nationally in terms of best practices. And next slide. So CCTA staff, we're working closely with MTC in terms of looking at the progress report that's going to be published sometime this fiscal year, but also developing a very innovative safety data system, an online map and dashboard that will really empower local agencies to use the latest and greatest data to help with grant applications, but also to be able to analyze in greater detail how best to use the safe systems approach to focus funding to begin to move toward Vision Zero. And I'll leave it there. And next slide. Look forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Clark. Are there questions from members of the board? Ms. Linder, I'd like to recognize you. You have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
You bet, perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clark. From the bottom of my heart, I am trying to reduce my household's driving miles, and I ride my bike to work. I walk to the grocery store. I'm really trying to reduce driving, and it's pretty terrifying out there. So this cannot happen soon enough. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is that I've been working with advocating for safe streets for a long time. And if you ask traffic engineers, well, what's the biggest thing that you can do to increase safety, as your presentation demonstrated, is to reduce speed. And then you ask, okay, let's reduce speed. And then they cite the 85th percentile rule, or they say, oh, well, we'll have to do a traffic study and that'll probably come up with a higher speed limit. So my question is, how hopeful are you, or what teeth do you have in the toolbox to get local cities on board to lower speed limits? Thank you.
And do you want me to respond as we go, Chair, or?
Absolutely, feel free to, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. So one thing that comes to mind is Assembly Bill 43 at the state level was signed into law to become effective January 1st to begin to address the 85th percentile approach to posted speed limits and the engineering studies that influence those posted speed limits. And yes, I'm absolutely optimistic that there's a lot that can be done. And in working with the local staff, throughout the county, there's a lot of talent, a lot of interest, a lot of eagerness to move forward on this issue. So, CCTA is here to help.
Before I call on Mr. Ash or Mr. Hurley, do you mind expounding a little bit on that Assembly Bill? What just in general, in broad strokes, what it hopes to achieve?
The idea is to give more flexibility to local agencies when setting speed limits, and not necessarily being required to follow the 85th percentile approach, but I would definitely refer everyone to
the text.
Yeah, for the details. And usually as part of our APC, our Administrative and Projects Committee agendas each month, there's a legislative update with more detail on things like this Assembly Bill, for example.
All right. And what was the Assembly Bill number? And then I'm going to call on one of these two gentlemen.
43, AB 43.
Okay. Mr. Ash, Mr. Hurley, do either of you remember who raised their hand first? It's probably not important. Mr. Ash, then Mr. Hurley is deferred to you. Please go.
Sure. Thanks. And Colin, good to see you again. Thanks, Ed. Along the same lines about that, how are you coordinating this conversation with the cities in Contra Costa County, sharing this information, maybe having working groups, if you're doing that, or do you have any plans? And then also with East Bay Parks, because they operate a lot of the trails that people ride bikes on.
Great, good to see you again as well. So to answer your question, there has been a lot of information sharing that needs to be an ongoing effort. And in terms of the analysis that was done over the last couple years, looking at collision data 2008 through 2017, we've worked with local staff countywide through the RTPCs to share this data in a more usable format, to get into the more details in terms of implementation, and to be able to help inform the local road safety plans and Vision Zero action plans if local agencies do choose to go that route. And in general, yeah, there's definitely our line is open. We're happy to work with local agency staff as needed and continue working together. East Bay Regional Parks District, you mentioned. So we are working with them on a regular basis, and as part of Measure J, the PBTF program, which is the Pedestrian, Bicycle, and Trail Facilities Program, is an annual share of countywide sales tax revenue that goes to the East Bay Regional Park District through CCTA, and part of that is working together to address safety.
Very good. Were your questions answered, Mr. Ash?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much.
Maybe, yep.
Oh, we're losing a little bit of your audio. Go ahead and say that again one more time.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, Ed and Matt, maybe it would be good for a future meeting. We could hear from East Bay Parks on what they're doing, what they've done in the last 2 years, and what they're doing in the next 2 years to improve ridership on those trails, particularly for commuters to BART or other public transportation.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I totally agree.
Thanks.
And I see Matt nodding his head.
And Chair, if I may add to,
Yes.
the state park system with Mount Diablo is quite focused on adding additional turnout lanes, for example, for vehicles, and making it more bicycle friendly going up and down Mount Diablo. And so that's yet another example of a potential partner that East Bay Regional Park District could work with or learn from as well.
Mm-hmm. As long as I don't have to go over that mountain to get to my grocery store, I'm fine with that. Mr. Hurley, if I may defer to you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Colin. Appreciate the presentation. One of the slides mentioned red light violations. So I live in North San Ramon. I commute by bike every day down into Dublin, and I have lost count pretty much of all the cars I've seen blowing through red lights. Now, I have not been in California a long time, and places I've been before use the traffic cam red light enforcement. And I know this is a law enforcement legal issue. I don't even know if it's done here in California. But is there any data showing whether or not those red light enforcement cams bear any fruit?
So yes. So the one thing about the enforcement cameras is that they're not currently legal under state law in California, but there are a number of different efforts to address speed on that front. In terms of camera enforcement, though, when it comes to equity and who ends up getting issued violations and citations and paying fees, it's not necessarily known to be an equitable approach, but there are other approaches that are in this policy and implementation guide to help local agency staff. and channelize right turns, red light violations, like you said. There's an opportunity for no right turn on red. Yeah, I appreciate the input.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to Ms. Bristow, if you would like to speak.
Yes, thank you, Ed. Colin, I'm very enlightened by what you're doing. I think these are really good steps for within cities and making it much safer for people on bicycles. However, I am in the far east county and the unincorporated areas of Contra Costa County. And on weekends, we have many cyclists, bicycle people that, and they're not going to the grocery store, they're not going to work. They're riding for 3, 4, 5 hours, and they are on Marsh Creek Road and Camino Diablo. And it's very dangerous for them. They really literally take their lives in their hands if they are at the Camino Diablo Vasco Road stoplight and decide to go east there, which is about a mile from where I live. And I'm just wondering if you have any plans for us in the unincorporated area to make it safe for these bikelists. Or these cyclists, sorry.
Yeah, so so this is the countywide Vision Zero framework policy and implementation guide, and the county unincorporated is actually the first local agency out of the 20 different cities, towns, and unincorporated county to address Vision Zero directly by developing an action plan for those areas. And so there's an effort underway as we speak over the last year or so, couple years, and I would imagine the Public Works Department for county is likely to bring it to the Board of Supervisors sometime this fiscal year. I'm not sure when, but that could potentially set them up to be the first local agency to adopt a Vision Zero action plan and begin to address the safe systems approach.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you, because we've worked very hard to try to get trucks off of Camino Diablo, and it isn't as successful as we would like. They have lowered the speed limit, at least within the town limits of Byron, but we need a lot. We need a lot more help and work to make these bicyclists safe on our road. We're barely safe in our cars. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, first of all, that's kind of an homage to your people, so to speak. Ms. Bristow is indicating that the county unincorporated are some of the most energetic engagers in this process. So that's promising to hear for you. I personally had to step on and pound the table to emphasize one of the points that you'd made. I used to commute to the laboratories, Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, where I worked from Clayton, and I told my wife at the time that was probably how I would lose my life is on that commute. You know, I ended up taking the longer route eventually on a bus. On a van pool. I joined a van pool that drove down 680 instead, 680, 580. Made it longer, but I'd like to think I extended my life as well. So, okay, so let's see. I don't see any other hands here right now. I'm going to go ahead and jot in one quick thought and or observation to Mr. Clark. And if any of you are thinking of asking a question, go ahead and prep it. Mr. Clark, one of the things, I realize that our goal is really to take single rider cars off, et cetera, and reduce just a few cars off the road is makes it easier for everyone and safer for everyone. One of the things though I have to ask is, I feel like the pedestrian overbridge, or even the cyclist compatible overbridge is the pedestrian overpass or bridge is an underutilized tool in the arsenal of reducing deaths while keeping the flow of traffic moving. I know that part of that is due to enormous costs, construction and so forth, but it's not cheap to do, light timings or install signal lights either. That those have ongoing costs long into the future. So I just wonder, I didn't see a mention of that as a tool in the arsenal anywhere in your slides, and I didn't consider it a slight, but what are your thoughts about, I guess the point I guess I wish to make there is that if one of the tools might be this thing, especially like around schools and so forth, where you might have less compliant or less aware people going over the street and stuff, if an effort like the one you're speaking of were to commoditize that somewhat by identifying ideal partners and affordable but reliable plans that could be somewhat cookie cutter on city streets, then it makes that a little bit more of a turnkey, push button operation for local agencies that are thinking about what they can possibly do to cut down on pedestrian deaths. You're thinking, is there a question there? I'm just saying it's an observation, but I am curious what your thoughts are about the use of a tool like this.
Yes, so the guide does include, in terms of the toolbox, these types of recommendations over crossings for bicyclists and pedestrian use. It is a tool. It's just like every other tool in the toolbox. It's something that has to be, to some extent, considered on a case-by-case basis. In part because in some cases there can be unintended consequences. For example, encouraging more speeding by people driving vehicles if they are generally not expecting people walking and biking to be using the ground level facility. So it can have an effect unintended in terms of walkability and pedestrian friendliness, not to mention the economic side of things in terms of encouraging small businesses and that kind of thing.
Certainly, I understand. I appreciate that. I appreciate that answer. All right. I'm gonna open it for public comment, and we probably still have no public attendees, and that's fine if that's the case. Do you see anyone? I would like to make it open it to the public if anyone is attending to raise your hand if you wish to make a comment.
We have no written public comment and no public comment here on the Zoom meeting.
Thank you very much, Terry Ann.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you for the very detailed presentation, Mr. Clark. I mean, we're all rooting for Vision Zero. It's good to see concrete things coming to, the framework coming together and partners coming together to put the toolbox in front of each other. So thank you very much for making that presentation.
Thank you. And Chair, if I may leave you with one last thought. The public input is incredibly important. All of you included in that. Serving on the Citizens Advisory Committee is incredibly important to this process. And when it comes to the local agencies, that's really what it's going to come down to as well, in terms of both developing plans at the local level, policy, but actually holding accountability as it relates to local projects and that kind of thing. So really appreciate everyone's participation.
You bet. It's our pleasure. All right. So let's see. Gosh, we're done with our major agenda items. We're moving on to I'm supposed to say I'm closing any opportunity for public comment on that subject. And so the next item on our agenda is reports. Does anyone have a summary report? Did you attend one of the other subcommittees or even the parent CCTA meeting and wish to share observations from that or something like that? Okay, all right. Let's see, and then member and staff comments. Ms. Grover, if you don't mind, I'd like to tap on your shoulder just to mention the subject that we had discussed briefly before.
Yeah, so I know everyone is curious as to whether we're going to be meeting in person or virtually in October. At this time, I don't have any concrete answer other than be prepared to meet in person should we need to. At this time, the executive order that was in place, it was through September 30th, and new executive order just came out in the last few days. However, it did not extend the date past September 30th. It just suspended the use of Assembly Bill 361, which just recently was signed by the governor, I think about a week ago. And that bill essentially would allow us to continue meeting virtually. However, it does come with some new requirements, such as the authority board needing to basically every 30 days reaffirm that we are still in a state of emergency and that we're going to continue meeting virtually, which means it would be kind of on an every 30-day basis. And so at this time, our board doesn't meet again until the third Wednesday in October. So in order for us to enact Assembly Bill 361, we would have to have a special meeting prior to then. So that's kind of in the or just that's being discussed right now. Basically, how do we want to move forward? Do we want to, move forward with going back to in person, hybrid, or continuing virtual? Another part of that bill is that we have to be in a state of emergency, so you can't just use it. So we are getting to that point where we may start heading back to hybrid or in-person meetings. So I just want everyone to be prepared for the October meeting. And as soon as we know anything, or if we end up taking a resolution to the board to enact AB 361, I will definitely keep everybody informed and let you know as soon as we have a concrete decision and approval by the board. But it really does come down to the board's decision and how they want to move forward with not only their meetings, but all of our committee meetings as well. So I'll definitely keep you informed as soon as I have anything further to share.
I appreciate the transparency and letting us see a little X-ray of your brain there on what the thinking is going on. On this particular issue, I definitely want to make sure that if someone on the board would like to make a comment, I definitely want to make sure that they can say something. All right, well, then we're all behind you. All right.
Yeah, and if you have any concerns, definitely reach out and let me know. And everyone has different comfort levels of meeting in person, and we're, we can only go as far as we can go. There's these exemptions to the Brown Act, and they are ending. And so, but definitely reach out to me and let me know if you have any concerns meeting in person.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other staff or member comments?
You may have to send out directions again how to get to the building in person. I've forgotten how to get there.
It's overgrown. It's a dystopian paradise. Yeah. All right. I don't have a lot of comments, but I just wanted to tell you all that your planning commissions are definitely going to be moving into RENA mode in the next few weeks. The numbers are delivered, and there's serious deliberation beginning to happen at those levels. So no other comment than that, just to say, you know, you'll see some civic engagement and stuff on this in your communities, and I encourage you to reach out and participate in any discussions and policy things that are available to you in your community. All right, correspondence and communications. This would be basically to see a news article, something that feel needs to be shared, or receive a letter or send a letter. All right. I'm going to ask if there are any public comments about the staff comments or the correspondence and communications. And having none, very good. And future agenda items, I did hear, gosh, who was it? Was it Bill or who was?
Ash requested
the parks.
Regional Parks District and their plans for trail usage.
It's a good suggestion. Are there any other thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Yes,
Go
sorry.
ahead, Ms. Bristow.
I raised my hand, but it's way up in the corner there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it in a while. Matt, is there anything that we should, I wonder if we could talk about State Route 239 and get an update on what is going on there. Is that a possibility, or?
It's always a possibility. Let me check with the team and see where they're at, if there's any updates since last time. But it's certainly, you know, that they're willing to come back whenever there's news to share with the group.
That would be great. Thank you, Matt.
Cool. All right. Mr. Rosenberg, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair Ed. Patty, in response to your comment, we had a rather compelling presentation. I think it's what you're talking about. The speed limits and the danger on, is that the route that you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yes.
very compelling, the presentations that were made by the residents and some of the folks who lived along that route. So I'd also be interested to find out if there's any change in the status of that. I think part of it had to do with, as I think Matt mentioned, with dollars, money to devote to that, to a typical project on that route. So I'm with you. I'd like to hear if there's any movement.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it's been a while since we've heard a real presentation. I mean, it's almost 2 years. You know, assuredly something has happened in 2 years, or I want to know if nothing has happened in 2 years. Okay, so yeah,
one way or the other.
Yeah,
It's
one way or
certainly
the
the
other.
environmental phase, so that can get stretched out. But like I said, if there is any new news that's come out of that, that's where we start looking at alternatives and preliminary design and everything. So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, if that is all, then I think we've come to the close of another one of these wonderful meetings. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting. The next regular CAC meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 27th. That will not be a costume wearing meeting, just in case you want to know. And it may be in person, so be advised. Okay.
That's right here.
Godspeed, everyone. Be well, be healthy, and we'll see you in late October. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.